Hey guys, Sean C. Phillips here with our brand new DVD Blu-ray Tuesday Shop Bear today. They're going to go out today, see if things came out, see if things are on sale. I know there's a couple different things releasing today, like Red Sparrow, and I know there's like a Best Buy Steelbook of that. Game Night is coming out today. Early Man. There's a collection though, a 4K collection, which I definitely want to try and find, and it looks like they should have it at Target and Walmart, so hopefully they, have them out and everything, because I'm leaving a little earlier than normal today. It's only like 10:20 now, so I might be like not great leaving this early, because sometimes if I go too early things are not put out yet, so we shall see. Also, the end of this video is going to be a bunch of new DVD and Blu-ray reviews for some things I received to review and talk about for you guys. Also have some really cool exclusives to show you guys from FYE. They sent over some new FYE exclusive steelbooks, so those will be at the end of the video as well, right before the new DVD and Blu-ray reviews, so definitely stay tuned for those as well. But anyway though guys, let's get going and see what we can find today. Into Target we go. And if you guys didn't hear it last week, I mentioned that MJ Kelly and his wife Jayla have a brand new YouTube channel up. So if you guys haven't seen that channel, definitely check that out. And I heard though, because the current channel though, MJ's wife, runs it because it's her channel, and then MJ's appearing in videos here and there. But I heard though once Jayla's channel gets to 1,000 subscribers, then MJ will be making his own YouTube channel, or he'll be doing all the fun videos and stuff like that that he wants to do on that. And then Jayla will be in some of those ones as well. So guys, definitely, like I said, check out the link below for Jayla's channel and help that get close to 1,000 subscribers, or get to 1,000 subscribers, and then MJ will have, like I said, his own channel as well. And here today, like I mentioned, one of the big releases that came out today, was Red Sparrow. And, I'll have to go show you guys in the front of the store, too. They have the 4K of that one. And I don't see two Game Night. They had a couple other things in the front. But, I saw this one in theaters. I'm, always liked Jennifer Lawrence and everything. But for some reason, I don't know. This movie was kind of like Atomic Blonde a little bit. But I couldn't really get into this movie. I really, really did not like this one that much, to be 100% honest. I don't know. It's just kind of okay. This is one of the other ones that won, the film that won for Best Foreign Language Film, Fantastic Woman. But I haven't actually heard too much about the movie itself. If you guys have seen this one though, let me know though if this is one you guys would say is worth picking up. Also, I Kill Giants, that one released today as well. But the one main thing that I came in here that I really wanted to get, and I'm gonna have to price match this because for some reason it's like $60 in here, and it's like $50 I think everywhere else, like Walmart and everything online and Amazon is showing $50, but this is the 4K edition here of the Jurassic Park films. And I think this is the edition I like the best too, because it includes the booklet. I know Best Buy has like a Steelbook edition of this one, but it doesn't have like the book and everything with it. And I know with these movies, the first one, of course, is the best. But, I like the second movie. The third one, I don't know. The third one was kind of like a watchful movie. I always remember that when I saw that in theaters, when I spilled this entire large drink in my lap. And I don't know so I really only ever saw the third one time. And the whole time I was in there with, sitting there with a wet lap, because I remembered spilling it in my lap, probably 15 minutes after I saw this movie. But Target has an exclusive edition of this one. But this is only for the Blu-ray. It's too bad they don't have the exclusive 4K. And it has a thing on here where if you push it on the side, it plays the music, so you can hear like the theme to the film. So this is kind of a cool one, but I'm definitely going to get this one. I know they have one edition as well. I think it's more money though. It includes like movie money in it. But they also though have these new editions here, the slipcover ones of the first 3 films here. It looks like they only have the first one on Blu-ray, and then the other one's on DVD, and then Jurassic World. But I don't think Jurassic World was even released on 4K when that first came out. I don't know for sure though. But these are cool slipcover ones of these ones as well. But like I said, definitely going to get this, and hopefully it's not going to be a pain to price match this. And I'll have to show you guys, like I said, in the front of the store they had a couple other things out there as well. But over here though, in the kids section, like I mentioned as well, one of the other things that released today was Early Man, which I thought was a really fun movie. And then I'm also going to be talking about this at the end of this video. One of the things I'll be reviewing, Daphne and Velma, which was surprisingly kind of actually a fun movie. I actually was really surprised with how that one was. It's not perfect or anything. And this is one of the other things that came out today, this show called The Loud House, It Gets Louder. Don't know much about this one, but I know, like I said, this is one of the things that released today. But like I mentioned, though, on the front, though, they have the 4K edition here of Red Sparrow. That's $24.99 for that. And they also have the 1517 of Paris and Game Night. Both of these ones I'll be talking about at the end of this video as well. But both of those ones are $22.99. And if you guys are trying to find these Jurassic Park sets, they seem to be in the front of the store. This seems to be where they're putting them. And this one, I said that's the exclusive. That one's $42.99. Like I said, that's a cool one here that has the thing you can push. But like I said, this is, for some reason, coming up. They're selling this one for $10 more, so I'm going to go over there to the thing, and hopefully I can price match this one. Yeah, so I, got that in there, and luckily enough, they were able to price match it, which I didn't think it would be a problem, because it's, it's on Amazon for that price, and Best Buy, and, Walmart and everything. But I wanted to make sure I could get this, because I feel like it's one of those things that some of the stores probably won't have a million copies of. And like I said, I know Best Buy has that Steelbook, which I think is kind of cool, but it doesn't have the booklet or anything like that to it. So definitely was, glad to get this one. There's still another thing, too, that Best Buy does have this one Steelbook, because they got a couple of different exclusives today, so I'm probably going to get that one as well. Into Walmart we go. And I showed these last week, as you can tell. There's certain ones in here that are all picked over as they sold out. Decent amount of these are totally gone, but we'll head over here though and see, what else they have in here today. And I do see this one, that like I said, I price matched for that exact price. But this is some of the other ones that released today: the Patriot 4K and the Fury 4K. And I'll be talking about both of those ones at the end of this video. But over here though in the front, like I mentioned, Red Sparrow released today, Game Night, and 1517 of Paris. Those are both 22 here as well. Other than that, though, they have the Daphne and Velma movie here, 1796. Early Man here. This is one of the other ones that I think was today. This one called Genesis. So I don't know much about this one. If any of you guys have watched this one, let me know if this one was any good. And other than that, as well, the movie The Party, that one released today as well. But nothing else over here though will really change out though. Like I said, they don't usually change out this section till usually the first Tuesday of every month, and then they usually right around here they put in all the new stuff out. And this past weekend I saw a couple of different films. The first one I saw was Deadpool 2, and I really, really loved the first Deadpool film, so I was really looking forward to seeing this one. And I'm really glad, too, they're keeping, the Deadpool series as, raunchy, out there, R-rated films. I really am wondering, though, with the X-Force, with that one, because, Deadpool's in that films, and I don't know if... I'm pretty sure that would become a series, but I'm really wondering if they're going to keep that as rated R. And I know there's talk that they probably will be, but I know it's kind of hard to know now, so I'm hopefully it still goes in that direction. I feel like it probably will, because Deadpool has been doing so well. It's one of the top grossing R-rated superhero films, because there's really very few R-rated superhero movies. But I don't want to talk too much about the plot. It's essentially though about Deadpool has to keep this kid who's this mutant safe because of the character of Cable, who's trying to come after him, and that's essentially what it is. But it's a really, really fun movie. Like I said, super raunchy, and there's also a bunch of fun cameos in the movie as well. The other one I saw was Book Club, and that was one of those ones I kind of knew was going to be a little bit cringy, from the trailers and stuff. And that there definitely is some cringy stuff that happens in that movie. Jane Fonda's in the movie, Mary Steenburgen, Diane Lane, and then, I don't know, it's essentially about these friends who had kind of always been going, and, kind of, I think it's 40 years and stuff. They had this book club, and they'd always go there and talk about their problems and read these books and talk about the book and everything. It's essentially, it's them, all these friends, they're all having, different problems in their lives and stuff, and relationship issues, and problems with their husband, and problems with, all kinds of life issues and everything. Like I said, there was definitely some kind of cringy stuff in the movie. It was okay, though. Sometimes I like these kind of movies. It's one of those ones I wouldn't say you have to rush out to see. It was all right, but nothing really that amazing at all. Like I said, just kind of cringy. But if you guys have saw either of those movies, though, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of them, or what movies you guys saw this past weekend. Into Best Buy we go. And over here today, like I mentioned, one of the things they had today was Red Sparrow, and they have in the front, I don't see in the actual section, but they have the 4K Steelbook of Red Sparrow, and that's a pretty cool image. It's the same image but against the black background, but I kind of think that's actually a pretty cool one. But you know, like I said, the movie, I didn't absolutely love that movie very much, but they did get in some exclusive steelbooks here. They have this Children of Men one here. These are all these exclusive ones are $11.99 for the Children of Men Blu-ray steelbook, and this was a pretty cool movie. And then they have the Blues Brothers one here, and also, and I think I'm going to get this one, the movie here called The Game. And I don't know for sure if I've ever actually seen this movie. It's a David Fincher film, but a pretty cool image on this one. It's one I always wanted to see. I know that they have a Criterion release of this one as well, but this is definitely one I think I'm going to get today. But I'm not seeing in here, you know, they have Game Night as well in here, but I'm not seeing that Jurassic Park 4K collection steelbook, because I was looking online. It looked like there wasn't any stores near me at all that had it for like a 40-some mile radius. So it looks like that one might be kind of one of the harder ones to find today. But like I said, I'm definitely, though, going to get this one here for sure, though. Yeah, so I ended up getting, you know, the Game Steelbook. Like I said, this is one of those ones I always wanted to see, and I'm pretty sure I never saw this movie in the past, you know, as far as I can remember. But yeah, they didn't have the standard 4K edition as well of that Jurassic Park. So it seems like, from what I could tell, like a lot of locations aren't getting that, or they must have people already pre-ordered the, you know, the Steelbook one, which is their exclusive one for that one. But, you know, let me know below what you guys picked up, if you guys picked up anything today. Also, like I said, definitely don't forget, you know, if you guys haven't gotten to check it out, check out MJ and Jayla's channel, and, you know, subscribe to that below. Anyway, though, guys, now stay tuned now for some new DVD and Blu-ray reviews. And before we get on to the reviews, I have some really cool brand new FYE exclusive steelbooks to show you guys. FYE sent these steelbooks over to show you, and these ones I'll have a link below for you guys can order these ones from their website. You know, I'll direct links to each of these specific ones. You guys can also find these in their stores as well, but I'd say it's probably safer to get them from the website just to be certain you're able to track them down. But just such a really cool one. I just put the sticker on this one. It doesn't actually have the sticker on the steelbook. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I've watched this movie so many times. Such a great, crazy movie. And then especially Hills Have Eyes, about the people going out on this trip and take the back road. And then it's like, you know, they go on the back road through the desert, and it's this crazy family attacking them. It's an amazing movie. I've watched this so many times as well. All these films have been ones I've watched again and again. This is an amazing movie. And of course, Reanimator. Really great image on this one. Really cool look. Look at the back on here as well. You see like the severed head character that comes alive. But I don't know, these are really great steelbooks. And like I said, you guys can find these ones in store at FYE, or, you know, what I'd say is probably the safer way, through the website. And like I said, the links below will be for, you know, for these will be below. And the first one I got here is from Warner Bros. They sent out a free copy of this one to let you guys know about. It's the brand new 4K Ultra HD edition here of The Matrix. This is one of those movies I always really thought this was a really cool movie. I had not seen it in a really long time. I know too, it's one of those movies too where it's been released, you know, on, you know, throughout the years on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray. They've always been kind of little changes to like the level of the blueness and the greenness of the picture, because like they kind of like boosted it and sort of changed it. Even in this one, the new edition here, and the Blu-ray is a remastered film version of the movie as well. It's not the same Blu-ray from the past releases. You know, they kind of toned down the colors a little bit, but this is a really, really cool movie. The picture quality though on 4K, this is definitely one of those ones where if you guys have the capacity, is a great like demo, you know, to show 4K, especially to show a catalog older title and what it can look like in 4K, you know, with boosting the color levels. And this is a really, really high contrast film. It's really hard to explain though. It's basically though, Keanu Reeves' character is like this computer hacker that kind of works this regular job, but you know, at home though, he's always hacking into systems and everything, and he kind of gets picked up by Lawrence Fishburne's character, and then also these guys that are kind of coming after him in the computer world. Essentially, though, Keanu Reeves is, you know, taken in by Lawrence Fishburne and the group of people that he's with, and says, you know, if he takes this certain pill, he will be like awakened to the real world, and he will find out exactly what's really going on, and how there's a whole lot more to what he thinks that reality really is. And, you know, essentially, though, there's all these kind of people coming after them because of what they're doing, and because of what Lawrence Fishburne's, the group of people that he's with, is doing, and they're kind of coming after him, and they know, too, that Keanu Reeves' character is going to do something really big big, and it's essentially that. It's very hard to explain. If you know the Wachowskis films, though, they're really intricate, and they're movies where people can kind of like look at them under a microscope, especially like Cloud Atlas, and can really talk about like what everything means. On here, though, it has a introduction by the Wachowskis. It has on here a whole bunch of commentary tracks on here, a critics commentary track, cast and crew commentary track on here. Has over 3 hours of features on the Blu-ray here. Some of the past features as well, because like I said, there's been a lot of other releases of this in the past, but this is the first time it's been to 4K. Hopefully as well, they release the sequels on 4K down the line. The next one here, Warner Bros. Sent over a free copy of this one as well to let you guys know about. This is the 1517 to Paris. This is based on the true story about the 3 friends who were in Paris who ended up stopping this gunman who was on this train in Paris. He was basically like hijacking the train, and he was like, and it's kind of essentially though, telling, because the thing that's interesting about this too is Clint Eastwood directed this, and it's, having the actual guys, the 3 real guys that saved the day on this train, they're actually in this playing themselves. And I feel like I have not seen that too often when they had, because these guys are not actors or anything like that. I do think though they did a pretty decent job. It would be interesting to see if they actually, go on to act in other things. But it's essentially though, them, reenacting and kind of their whole thing, and it talks about how they first met in, elementary school. I believe it was elementary or middle school, and then kind of how they they went different directions in their lives, but then how they got back together. They go on this trip together when they went to Paris. And then kind of how it the whole thing went down the train and everything. It just kind of shows the whole thing about their trip and everything. I know this has kind of had some mixed reviews and everything, especially because like I said, these guys are not actual actors. This is like these guys like, showing what they did. But I honestly thought they did a pretty decent job in this for not being actors. And it was an interesting story and everything. It didn't have a whole lot, because like the actual train stuff was absolutely intense. Like Clint Eastwood did an amazing job with that stuff. It's a little, the story's a little thin though with the other stuff they have to work with, but still though, I actually thought this was actually a pretty decent film on here, and it has one thing in here talking to the actual guys themselves, talking about going through the actual moment by moment about how the whole thing happened on this, to them when they were on the train. Next one here, Warner Bros. Sent over a free copy of this one as well. This is the movie starring Rachel McAdams and Jason Bateman called Game Night. And I thought this was a funny movie. I don't know. I saw this one in theaters as well and liked this a lot. Always a fan of Jason Bateman. Rachel McAdams was recently in that movie called Disobedience, which just came out, but she was really, really, really good in that movie. And this is like one of the few movies that she's done where she gets to do comedy, because, she was in Mean Girls, but she hasn't done too many like comedic kind of movies. And it's essentially though about Rachel McAdams and Jason Bateman, who are like this couple who always get together with their friends to have game night. And Jason Bateman's brother is in town, and he's really competitive, and he's like got a lot of money and always kind of bragging and everything. And he kind of is controlling the game night. He's kind of like, since he's coming to the town, he's kind of knows that he's going to like take control of the game night and kind of like be really competitive and stuff. And, something ends up happening and the brother ends up getting kidnapped, and they all think, oh, because it sounds like at first it's going to be this mystery game when it's like a whole setup thing about, one of those things like who done it and have to try and track the clues and everything. But of course, though, this brother is, you find this out right in the beginning, he's actually kidnapped, and Jason Bateman and all the other people in the group have actually think that this is a game, and they little by little find out that there's more to this whole thing that's going on. And it's just a whole bunch of wacky stuff going on, and they're kind of having all kind of problems throughout the night trying to track it down, and there's all kind of like, weird situations they get and everything. Like I said, I thought this was a fun movie. Has on here though a making of on here as well as a gag reel on this. And this one here at Warner Bros. Sent over a free copy as well for this. And this is this new Scooby-Doo film. Oh, so this characters from Scooby-Doo, Daphne and Velma. And it's called Daphne and Velma. And this is like kind of like a new origin story to how Daphne and Velma first met, but it's kind of set now, but sort of more like a couple of years from now, like in a futuristic time when they have like higher technology and everything. And I'm gonna be honest, like I didn't know what I was gonna think when I went into this. I had no clue. I didn't know if this was gonna be even like be watchable, to be honest. And I thought this was actually kind of funny. I know the one actress on here who's playing Daphne I saw is going to be in the Charmed reboot, which is kind of interesting to see like what they do with that. Because I never really saw too much of the original Charmed, but I know I saw she was going to be on that. But it's essentially though about, like I said, how they met, and it's sort of Daphne's character who kind of travels around with her family, and she's talking to Velma online, and they're like friends and everything. Once they get to the school, though, Velma's acting kind of weird to her, and like is kind of being mean and everything. And there's some weird stuff going on at the school because like kids are kind of getting like taken into these lockers, and then like weird things are happening, and then they're like acting really strange, and like their brains were removed. They're like, oh yes, 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 like acting really peculiar. And it's Daphne and Velma essentially on their first case, you know, trying to figure out exactly what's happening to these kids and why they're all like acting like this. And there's all this kind of stuff at the school too, like with like, it deals with social media and like scoreboards on who's the most popular person in the school and all that. I honestly, you know, for like an origin kind of story set like in the sort of future with like a different thing, I thought this was honestly watchable. I really did think this was kind of fun. I guess you'd say it was more for kids, but you know, I thought it was all right. And it has on here, though, some making-ofs on here, as well as a gag reel on this one as well. The next ones here are from Sony, and these are brand new, you know, some catalog releases here. Some catalog titles now released for the first time on 4K. And this one here is the Brad Pitt film Fury, as well as the film Patriot starring Mel Gibson. Fury, though, I remember seeing this one in theaters as well. This is a really cool, super, super gritty war film. This is kind of taking place near the end of the war in like 1945, like kind of the tail end of it. And it's essentially, though, all the stuff with the Nazis and everything, and it's Brad Pitt like commanding this group, and you know Shia LaBeouf's in here, Michael Pena's in here, who else is in this one? John Bartel is in this one. A really great cast, Scott Eastwood. It's essentially though him kind of leading this troop, and it's kind of like he has to kind of push ahead, and there's very few people left and everything, and it's kind of he needs to kind of get to this certain area, but it's sort of like a doomed mission, and a lot of it's set inside this tank. It's a very, very, very grim, sad film, what's going on and everything, but really, really well acted, well filmed. You know, as David Ayer, you know, directed this one, but super, like I said, super gritty. It has on here though, you know, the 4K. It has some of the features on the 4K disc, like a documentary on the film, some featurettes, and then it has on the Blu-ray 50 minutes of deleted and extended scenes, director's journal, lots and lots of stuff on this one. But definitely, though, one for 4K, though, looks amazing. Like I said, this is a super gritty, dark, grimy film. And, like, the big thing with 4K, like I always say, is the HDR, which is the higher contrast levels and the brighter bright. So this one really benefits. This is one, I believe I saw this one years back, so it's cool to see this one again. And it also has on here, on the Blu-ray, it has an unrated cut of the film. The 4K has deleted scenes, director and producer commentary track, featurettes on here. And I believe this was the first film, the first really big film that Heath Ledger was in. Because I think Eight Things I Hate About You, I think might have been right before this. But this was like the first like really big role for him. You know, Heath Ledger, though, is one of those actors, though, I miss so much because he was so cool. Especially, you know, of course, as the Joker. But he was just such a great actor. And he's in this playing Mel Gibson's son in the film. And it's essentially, though, set during the American Revolution, you know, war, and this is essentially, you know, it's kind of Mel Gibson's character who doesn't really believe in this war. He doesn't really want to participate in it, kind of, but his one son, you know, Heath Ledger, like, wants to go into it, and then it's like his other son is really interested in it, but, you know, he's kind of like, well, when you're old enough, you can maybe do it, but it's essentially, Mel Gibson, though, doesn't want anything to do with this, but something ends up happening to his son, and because of that, and because of this one person, he ends up actually, like, going full force with this war, and then going into it. It's another really sad film, but really well acted and everything. 4K wise, though, looks great. Both of these ones, though, if you guys have 4K, would highly, highly recommend you guys check these ones out. Like I said, it's always cool too for, you know, catalog titles to getting 4K releases, and Sony too always does an amazing job, you know, with their transfers for the, you know, 4K transfers. And the next two ones here I got from Universal, and I'll put a link below where you guys can order these ones for the best price. But these are two, when I heard these were coming out, I was so excited. And it's Problem Child 2 and The Wizard. Now, Problem Child 2, this is one of those movies when I've done videos in the past talking about my most watched movies that I've watched again and again and again. This is one of those movies that is definitely one of my top watched films. I can pretty much quote everything in this movie. You know, as much as I love the first film, the second one to me is just hilarious. It's essentially, though, about Junior Healy and his father. You know, they're moving to a new town, Mortville, because of what happened in the first film. And Junior Healy's father, played by John Ritter, he really wants to try and find a new girlfriend and eventually a wife. And, where they move is a single ladies' capital. It's like all these single wives living in this neighborhood. So they're all coming over to the house, bringing over food and everything. And Junior Healy, though, he ends up going to a new school. And, he thinks it's going to be a fresh start for him as well. But he doesn't really want to do it because he doesn't like school. But when second he gets there, he finds out that the principal is Gilbert Gottfried, who was, worked at the orphanage where Junior Healy was in the first film before he was, adopted, and he hated him, and they had such a rivalry. And now Gilbert Gottfried, when he finds out that Junior Healy's at this school, he's like panicking, and he decides to skip him ahead grades so he'll get out of this school, in 1 year. He does not want him here. And essentially, though, Junior Healy goes into the 5th grade, and he's got like there's a bully in there named Murph who's giving him all sorts of problems. There's this one girl at the school named Trixie who's giving him issues. So he's finally like a kid who was kind of the bully himself. Now he's being bullied in the school, having all sorts of problems. And then John Ritter's character is like going on these dates, and there's this really rich woman that wants to date him named LaWanda. And then there's like John Ritter's character's father's coming to town, and he's dead broke and wants to stay at the house. So it's all sorts of like problems going on, but just such a fun movie, and so excited this is on Blu-ray. Picture quality, though, great picture on this. Highly recommend, if you guys are a fan of that movie, checking that one out. And the other one here is The Wizard, and this is another one that I've watched so many times. A great movie starring Fred Savage, and Christian Slater's in this movie as well. It's basically, though, about Fred Savage's brother, and his brother is like going through some emotional problems because of something that happened in the family, and you find out throughout the movie what it was. But he's like going to become an institutionalized, and he also has like a form of autism, and he's always saying to himself, California. He really, really wants to go to California. You find throughout the movie why. But Fred Savage's character doesn't want him, his brother doesn't want him to go to be institutionalized in this group home setting. So he ends up, going and running away with him before it can happen. So it's kind of them going on this road movie to get to California, and then it's like someone trying to come after them and track them down and find them. And they also meet this girl along the way, and the brother is playing like some video games, and he's really, really good at these video games. And she tells them about this Nintendo competition that's going on on the way down in California. And it's essentially, though, them trying to get there to play this Super Mario Brothers Nintendo competition. It's just a really, really fun movie. I don't know, another one that I really, really like. There's some sad stuff as well, but just a really, really great road movie as well. The next one here is from Gravatas Ventures, and it's a movie here called Run Like Hell. This is a really, really crazy movie. It's basically, though, about a group of these friends who are going out on this trip. And it's one of those situations where they're all like saying to each other, like, why didn't we just fly here? It would have been so much easier to get to where we're going. And the one's like, well, if we flew, we wouldn't be able to see all these back road attractions and all the weird kind of shops and the weird kind of like tourist traps and stuff. It's fun to see all that. They're like, all right. And the one guy's like all into wanting to see this stuff. Of course, too, in the very beginning of this movie, you see like something weird is going on. You see this guy have this girl like tied to this table like in an operating type room, and he's like has all these kind of instruments, and like something's not going good in here. What's going on? But essentially, though, these people are out there on this road trip, and they see like a sign for this kind of like rock formation thing, and the guy's like, oh, well, we gotta look. So they all get out to go look at this rock formation. They come back, and of course, right when they come back, someone's stealing their car. And like I said, they're out in the middle of nowhere. They don't know what they're gonna do. So they kind of stumble upon this house, and they go in there asking for help. Of course, though, this guy is really strange that they go to his house with his wife, and it's like essentially like not a good situation. Like going to someone's house like this in the middle of nowhere is not a good thing. And it's like one of those things too where they don't know who they can trust, because like there's all these weird people around there and like these trailers and stuff. There's a whole lot of really weird stuff going on. And you kind of throughout this find out kind of what's going on here in this like town that they've come across. But it's like really crazy, kind of like sort of like a feel of something like Wolf Creek kind of vibe to this one on here. The next one here is from Paramount and CBS and Paramount. And this is a show that airs on Showtime that Jim Carrey produces, and it's called I'm Dying Up Here. This is a stand-up comedy show, based in the world of stand-up comedy set in the 70s. essentially it's about this one guy who is sort of just starting out where he's starting to kind of become more successful because he's going on, like, he's just went on this like Tonight type talk show, and it's kind of like it deals with about a group of these comedians that are all at this like nightclub. They all work there, and it's kind of like all in, like I said, all in the world of stand-up comedy, and they all kind of the kind of problems that they're having, sort of trying to get further in their careers, and kind of trying to have like the right people see them, and also deals with their stuff in their own personal life and their own sort of problems that are going on. The Clark Duke is in this one. I always think he's been in a lot of fun movies like Sex Drive and stuff. I don't know. He was recently in Adam Rifkin's film The Last Movie Star. The one actress in here too is she's from For a Good Time Call. But a pretty interesting series, and I think I believe there's a second season of this that either just aired or is going to be airing soon. The next ones here, these are from Severin Films, and these are really cool movies. I've always thought these are fun films. These are the sequels, because everyone always asks too when I talk about the zombie films. There was, in Europe and everything, especially Italy, Dawn of the Dead, George Romero's Dawn of the Dead was called Zombie, and then Lucio Fulci directed Zombie 2, which was kind of like the unrelated sequel, and then came Zombie 3, and then there's Zombie 4. Zombie 3, though, was, I feel like, this is like one of the later, like kind of almost to the last films that Fulci directed, because he ended up having a stroke when he was working on this. So they ended up like, he filmed like an hour worth of footage, and then like 2 other directors came in to finish it, to like fill in the gaps and everything. And this is essentially though about this like this guy who ends up stealing this chemical thing, and he gets like affected with this virus. And of course though, something ends up happening, and the virus gets spread to this small kind of like beach community, kind of like island kind of town where they have like a resort and everything. And it's essentially like of the zombies taking over there. And both of these ones were filmed in the Philippines. I always really liked this movie, and the thing that's really cool, especially the 4th one as well, what's cool is they actually include the soundtrack in here, because these movies both have really, really great synth music, like amazing synth. So it's pretty cool that the soundtrack is included, because I don't know if they've ever released these on a CD, this music. I don't think so, but I might be wrong. It has on here though interviews on here with Claudio Ferguso, who was of course directed one of my favorite best worst movies of all time, Troll 2, and like there's interviews on here with the replacement director, interview on here with one of the actresses on here, interview with the special effects artist on this one, commentary track on here with 2 of the stars. But, picture quality, both of these ones look great. I don't know, I just really love these movies. I think it's great that they release them. Hopefully they release Zombie 5, I think it was called Killing Birds. But Zombie 4, though, this stars, adult film star Jeff Stryker. And he like used a fake name in this. I think this was the only mainstream film that he ever acted in, I think. And there's a new interview on here. And I feel like he did one years back as well, an interview talking about this, but this is a brand new one on this. And this one is essentially though about like this voodoo priest is mad about what's going on this island, about these scientists are doing, and he ends up bringing back the zombies. And then it's like kind of set years later, and this one girl who escaped this island is back again with her friends on this trip there. And then it's also like these other random characters like that they come across out there, and it's like all these kind of crazy zombie stuff going on. But both of these are just such fun movies, and this one I really loved, and it's like not a great movie at all, but it's just amazing. It's the director of Troll 2 wrote this movie, and Bruno Mattei. He also worked on Zombie 3 as well, but he directed this, and he directed a movie called Rats Killing Terror, which I really liked. There's a movie here called Shocking Dark, and Europe and I think Italy, this was called Terminator 2. So like in technically Terminator T2, the official T2 is technically Terminator 3, I guess. But this is like these creatures too in this. Like they do not look like what you think they'd look like. But it's essentially though about like in the future, like in Italy, there was like something that happened in like an atomic thing, and like sort of like the end of the world type situation happened in parts of Italy, and people are like sort of can't go there anymore, and it's like these scientists are doing some weird stuff, and I don't really get the story, to be honest, what was going on in this story, but essentially these kind of like army guys, sort of like something like, I don't know exactly what they were. They had to go in the tunnel, try and get to the other side. But the movie, what's amazing about this is it's like taking the plot and it's like totally a ripoff, and that's what makes this fun, of Aliens. Because like the one main actress looks like Sigourney Weaver. There's like a girl in it that's like this young girl that's kind of like the girl that was in Aliens that they discover there on the planet or whatever it was in the Aliens that they kind of come across. And then like and then they also have a Terminator guy in this. So it's like taking this, mixing with Terminator. And the Terminator guy too has this really funny voice at one point. He's like, "Oh yes," when he gets like a hit with something. This is like amazingly ridiculous. I had such a fun time with this. Like, it is a terrible, terrible movie, but that's what makes this fun. I don't know. It was just absolutely ridiculous. And like, it's always fun to see something too that I never saw before. And this is one I never saw before. The next one here is from MVD, and this is from the Rewind collection. It's always cool too with these because they put on here, you know, these stickers on here to be like an old school VHS rental, like this taped on sticker here, this thing that says "Be Kind, Rewind." This is Jim Wynorski's this Return of Swamp Thing, and this is one of those movies I watched this as a kid so many times. I remember having all the Swamp Thing action figures and those toys. There was one of those toys that was like, it had like some kind of goo stuff in it. I remember my dad was like, "Don't mess with that goo stuff. That's gonna make a huge mess if that gets on the carpet." And I remember having all those toys, but they had like, people don't talk about it as much. They had a Swamp Thing live action TV series. They also had a Swamp Thing cartoon series. This one though, I remember as a kid though, watched this so often. And it's basically though about like Swamp Thing coming back again. And you know, this one, the original Swamp Thing was a much more serious film. This one is done much more silly. And there's like a scientist on this island with all these weird creatures and like these creepy creatures, and he's doing all these weird experiments. And Swamp Thing has a thing for Heather Locklear, who's like the scientist's daughter, and he has all these plans for his daughter. It's all these weird stuff going on. It's sort of a love story with Swamp Thing and stuff. It's just a really silly, fun movie. It has a brand new 2K transfer on here, but really, really great transfer on this one. Did a really good job cleaning this one up on here, and it has a new director on here with the director on here as well as the composer. The composer, you know, Jim Wynorski also directed like Chopping Mall. Same with the composer. He did the music in Chopping Mall. It has on here though new interviews on here with the editor, a classic commentary track on here from 2003, TV spots. And the thing that's cool too with these releases is, here's a look at the cover underneath, where they always include a mini poster as well for the original film posters. That's a pretty cool thing that they include in here with their releases of their stuff. Just a really fun movie. This one here is from, you know, from the MVD's Rewind collection as well. I believe this is from the Rewind collection, and it's a movie here called The Violence Movie. And this is like a shot-on-video movie that these guys made when they were kids. You know, they went on to produce The Man from Earth, and they directed, you know, I mean, it was Jerome Bixby's The Man from Earth, but they produced a number of other films as well, a bunch of horror movies. One that had Malcolm McDowell in it, which was pretty good. And this was, like I said, called The Violence Movie. This is a movie that they made when they were kids. I think they were like 16 or something like that. I think something like that. But they made this, and, you know, it was kind of their own kind of parody sort of version of like a Jason type movie, and they even in this wear a Jason mask and wear a Freddy mask at one point. But the thing that's pretty cool is Harry Manfredini, you know, who did the music in the Friday the 13th films, he actually did the music in this, because they actually, you know, the music they used originally was like copyrighted stuff, so he actually ended up composing new music for this release here. This is essentially though just about this like this crazy guy that gets out, like escapes from a prison or something, comes after this kid and is attacking him. The sequel though, I thought the sequel, both of these ones are only like 15 minutes long. I thought the sequel was a little better though, and they had some crazy stunts, and they even have footage on here, like they went back like 15 years later and shot some new stuff, like some stuff falling out the windows and some like insert shots and stuff. It has on here though a commentary track on here, has an alternate version of the film here, a thing, like I said, a thing with the guys' footage them going back to shoot some new stuff. But this is like a fun, if you guys like shot on video kind of movies, that's definitely a fun one for sure. And the next ones here are from Umbrella Entertainment. This one is a region-free release. This one is all region release. This is Charles Bronson films that he stars in: Death Wish 4, The Crackdown, and Death Wish 5, The Face of Death, which is the final Death Wish film. These movies are really, really fun, you know, super cheesy Canon action films. They were, produced by Canon. If you guys saw the documentary Electric Boogaloo, that was like talking about making these films. If you guys know Canon films, there's like super over the top, crazy, cheesy action stuff. And the later Death Wish films started getting like more and more crazy, because it's kind of like, too, how many times can things happen to this guy, like someone he knows, or something that happens to his girlfriend's daughter, or like someone that he knows gets killed and then he has to get revenge. Like, no matter what, things are never going to go right for Charles Bronson's character, and he's always got something he's got to go and get vigilante justice for. You know what I mean? That's what essentially it is he goes, is getting like vigilante justice on things that have happened and everything. But these are just really, really fun movies. Has on here, though, commentary tracks on here with a film historian here, theatrical trailers, TV broadcast promo, VHS previews, and his image gallery on this one. But just really, really fun. Like I said, this is a region-free release. This movie here is an Australian film here called The Tracker. And I think this is from like 2001 this released. And this is a really sad movie. This is basically, though, about, an Aborigine man who was like sent with these group of these guys because he's has to go and track down this Aborigine woman who's Aborigine as well, who was accused of killing this woman. It's essentially, though, about them going on this journey, and the one guy that they're with is like this really terrible, racist, terrible guy that's on this journey to try and track down this guy that is said to have killed this woman. And it's essentially, though, all about this journey that they're going on. This one is region-free as well, but all the kind of stuff that's going on and all the kind of racism and horrible stuff that are going on. It's set in I think it was like 1920 or 1922, but this is just such a downer, sad movie, but really, really well acted, but like I said, really sad. Has on here, though, some interviews on here. It has outtakes, has interviews on location on this one, the 59th annual Venice Film Festival, footage from that, a number of other festival clips as well on this one, but a really well acted, but like really like the sad movie. The next one here, this is another one that was a seriously fun movie, and I don't think I had ever saw this, from Vinegar Syndrome, called Bloodsuckers from Outer Space. This is another like one of those like really, really, really ridiculous movie. Has a 2K scan, brand new 2K scan transfer on this one. Really great transfer. Essentially, though, this is about like this weird type of wind that comes, and it's like turning people into zombies, and you see this like really cheesy thing at the beginning when this guy, and this farmer has like this wind cover all around him, and he starts like spitting out his like all this blood and everything, and turns into a zombie. And it's essentially, though, about this guy, who's like, his uncle and aunt are like telling him he's got to like get a job on the farm or get out. And he meets this one woman on the side of the road. Like, I think he picks her up or something. I can't remember if he picks her up or which way it happens. But he ends up, kind of like getting with this woman. But then it's like, zombies start popping up, and there's like these super ridiculous stuff of like the uncle turning into a zombie, and like this really bad makeup on everybody, like this bluish kind of stuff with these veins and stuff. It is just absolutely like hilariously fun movie. Like, it's another one of those ones. I love these kind of like fun, over the top kind of ridiculous movies. This one was just such a fun, silly, kind of more of a comedy horror zombie movie. Has on here a commentary track on the director. Has a 34 minutes later, 44 years later, making of documentary on this one. Has a thing going back to the town where they filmed this, showing the locations, but just a really great one here. This one, I remember hearing about this movie because there is a movie that the director's son made called Badass, and I really liked that movie. I had not seen that movie in years, but this is the movie, that movie was kind of about Melvin Van Peebles' life and kind of about him making the film Badass. And this is a movie here called Sweetback's Badass Song. And this is like a movie from 1971, and I remember too, like all the kind of stuff that Melvin Van Peebles had to go through to make this movie, and kind of all the problems and everything. And this is a thing that he kind of funded himself. Picture-wise, though, it's a new 4K scan. It's an amazing picture. There are some scenes in it though where it was like 16mm footage, where it was like blown up footage. So they even say at the beginning it doesn't look perfect, but still though, besides these little pieces of the movie, it looks great. And it's essentially though about this guy who like was kind of like this kid who grew up on this kind of like with these prostitutes and like these weird stuff going on, and they have these weird kind of sex kind of parties and everything. And it's just essentially though about like he's getting like framed for this thing that he didn't do, and he's kind of on the run, and people are coming after him. It's a really, really intense movie. But it has on here though some interviews on here with one of the actresses, a Q&A with Melvin Van Peebles from the 2013 Black Panther Film Festival on this one, trailer. But like I said, really, really great picture on this release. This one here here. I can't show the cover because it's a little out there, but this is a film from Vinegar Syndrome as well. This is an adult film. Keep that in mind, called Lisa. But this is one thing too, I always say this, when it comes to Vinegar Syndrome with their adult films, the transfers, the prints they get, they're never like what you'd think an adult film print would be like. You know, you'd think it would be like kind of like really messed up. They're like pristine prints where they like, especially these adult films, where they look like they're brand new. But, you know, it's a 2K scan from the original 35mm negative, but it's kind of crazy to think that some of these movies, like these negatives like exist and people have kept these in pristine condition. So that's why when you see some things come out and like the quality is like terrible, it's like somebody's got a negative of it. Somebody's got a good negative somewhere. But it's like sometimes I feel like it could be lost from the world. This is a movie here called Lisa. It's essentially about this woman, and it's kind of showing her life, because it says Lisa died in the beginning. It says very beginning. It's kind of showing how she started off as this model and kind of how things in her life sort of went, you know, downhill little by little. Things start to get spiral out of control and started getting worse and worse and worse. And that's essentially what this was. But, you know, like I said, really great transfer on here on this one. The next one here is from Monarch Home Entertainment. It's a movie here called Negative. This is essentially, though, this guy who's a photographer, and he's like taking pictures in the street, and he ends up taking a picture of this woman, and the woman like tracks him down to his house, and he's just like randomly taking pictures. And this woman saw that he caught taking a picture of her. He comes back to the house, and he's like, "You're gonna give me that negative, or I'm gonna kill you. You got to give it to me now." But of course, right when she's there, these kind of guys are coming after her, and it's kind of like you find out exactly why these people are coming after this woman. And he basically is kind of, you know, being trapped, going with this woman, forced no matter what he has to go. And it's essentially, though, like, you know, they're coming after her, and she's kind of telling them why they're coming after her. And he's like, "Why are you making me do this?" She's like, "Well, I'm actually saving your life. You know, you'd be killed if you didn't come with me." So it's kind of like this whole big to-do with these people coming after them, and she has to kind of protect him, and he doesn't know why he's there, and he starts to figure out more and more what is going on and why this happened and like what her plans were. But this is like just a crazy like movie. And the next one here is from company called Streetwise Entertainment, and it's a movie here starring Tyler Posey called Taco Shop. This is a fun movie. This was like Tyler Posey like wants to open up his own like taco stand one day, like a taco restaurant, but like, you know, he needed to give his money to his mother for something. And it's kind of like it's almost like a movie kind of like Good Burger, though, because like he works this taco restaurant. Like I said, his dream is one day to own his own taco restaurant. It's kind of like him with all the people he works with and kind of like the weird stuff going on at work, as well as there's like a taco truck that's across the street, and it's kind of taking the business away, and they're kind of trying to sabotage this business. And like I said, it's got that feel of like you know, Good Burger when there was like Mondo Burger across the street. It's got that kind of thing, like that real rivalry between them going on. Eric Roberts is in this movie, but it's just like a whole bunch of problems going on and like rivalries and issues between these people. I don't know, I thought this was a really fun movie. But anyway though, guys, that's all for the review portion of this video. Thanks again for watching, subscribing, I'll see you guys later.